Hello, my name's Matt Brown and I'm an author. I've written 7 books that have been published by Usborne, including the Compton Valence series and the Dreary Inkling series. What's that, sorry? Yes, this has just won a prestigious national award. Thanks very much for asking. So I wanted to talk today about school visits, why I like them and why I think they're really important, particularly now. There isn't a week that goes by without me getting some sort of message, tweet, email from a parent or a teacher or a family member telling me that a school visit that I did meant that their reluctant reader kid picked up one of my books, started reading it, and is now an avid reader, which obviously is amazing for me to hear personally, but it does go to show you how extraordinarily important school visits can be, particularly for those kids who sometimes sort of fall in the cracks, who sometimes get forgotten about for whatever reason in schools. But there is another reason why I think school visits are really important. And I think this is highlighted through a message that I got recently from a bookshop that I have done school visits with. I did school visits with them in 2018, and about 3 months ago, at the back end of 2020, I got this message. Hi Matt, I want to tell you about a mother who came back into the shop yesterday to say how grateful she was for the first lockdown, as her son was being bullied at school and perceived to be a slow learner. He particularly struggled with his reading and had been brought into the shop for a recommendation, and I'd recommended Compton Valence because it works so well to read aloud as well as in your head. As the mum was homeschooling him with his much younger sibling, she realised that he was understanding everything just fine, but that he was just not a fast reader, so it only appeared that he was a delayed learner. Your book was the first chapter book he'd ever finished and loved. He was so proud to take it into school to read at the same pace as his peers. I want to thank you for all the energy you put into the school events I was in the audience for that showed me how your books work by example and helped me to put it in the right hands. In my mind, what you achieve with your readers, often reluctant ones, is beyond worth, and I wanted to thank you and pass on the boost. So obviously that was really lovely to receive, and I was thrilled that my books had been recommended and that they'd had such a sort of like an important effect on somebody. But it showed me that school visits have kind of like 2 effects. One is like very instant, so you go into a school virtually or in real life, and it's for some kids it's an immediate sort of like brain fizzing moment where they just can't stop writing ideas down or generating characters or storylines or jokes or whatever it happens to be. But then there are some kids who have where there is a delayed effect, a delayed school visit effect. And in this case, this process probably took 18 months from me going into a school to this kid reading my book. Now, the thing I think about virtual visits, which I am doing at the moment and would love to do more of, so if you fancy hooking me up with schools, then please do, is that you can do things that you would do in a real life visit. So, for example, I've got lots of workshops and talks that I do, which are based on the talks and workshops that I do for Key Stage 2 kids, years 3 to 6. And I've got different workshops for different age groups. So, for example, a good year 3 and 4 workshop is based around monsters, where we talk about monsters, different types of monsters, and ultimately create our own monster and write them into stories. But I do workshops for older kids as well. So year 5 and 6 kids, I've got a few different workshops that are more to do with the mechanics of stories. So for example, there's one where I've written like a starting point to a story, and then we brainstorm where the story can go from there. And that's always really good fun, lots of ideas being shouted out. So there are different workshops that I do that are based on my sort of real life workshop range. But also, virtual sessions can allow me to do things that I just wouldn't be able to do with a school in person unless the school was like on my doorstep. For example, there's a session that I've got planned where I take an hour and split it into 2 half hours. So the class can start reading my book and I will join them for half an hour, maybe do some reading, but also talk to them about the book. But then after they've read the book, maybe half a term later, I'll join them again for another half an hour where people can ask questions now that they've read the book, which I think is really cool that you can do that sort of thing virtually. So if you want to find out more info about the type of workshops that I do and how much I charge for them, then all the details are on my website, mattbrownwriter.com. And if you've got any specific questions, then you can either email me through my website, or if you go to Facebook, my sort of Facebook page is Matt Brown Writer, and you can message me there and I can answer your questions there. Okay, thanks a lot for listening. Bye.